Yeah. This your boy, Tone DeShields II. You guys are locked in on your dose of Chalk It Up Sports, where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got to trudge it to the game. I appreciate you guys for always locking in on the content. Y'all know how we give it up here, right? Make sure you smash the like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the show, especially if you're new, right? Make sure you continue to lock in. I hope you're here for not only a good time, but I hope you stay for a long time. And I hope you find a home here for your daily Eagles fix. And I know I've been giving you guys a lot of live streams on the daily. And man, oh man, it takes what do you say? It's a marathon, not a sprint, right? So you want to make sure I want to make sure that I'm giving you guys my best every single day as much as I possibly can. If I'm not live, I'm definitely dropping videos, pre-produced content. So I want you guys to always stay locked in on what's going on Chalk It Up Sports. Again, please make sure you guys smash that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the show. Please also make sure you guys hit that notification bell. The notification bell, if you're not already aware, it makes you aware when I drop. If I drop content as far as lives, if I drop pre-produced content, whatever it may be that happens on the channel, that notification bell is going to make sure you hear it. So I appreciate you guys for always locking in. Got to start the show with gratitude, right? Always grateful for the beautiful people for working with me, being a part of this Chalk It Up Mafia, Chalk It Up La Familia. I appreciate you guys, and I don't take it for granted. So yeah, I'm always grateful for newcomers, and we're going to have some fun. So shout out to 200. Shout out to my man Michi in the building. Appreciate you guys. We got a lot of people rolling in right now, so we're going to get right to it. My man Chin A, what's going on? Hope all is well on the home front. Yeah, we're going to get right to it, you guys. We ain't going to waste no time. Y'all know how we give it up here. So obviously, the Eagles have been doing a lot of press conferences this week. They've had mandatory minicamp for the past 3 days. Today was the final day of said mandatory minicamp, and we heard from Cooper DeJean, Quinyon Mitchell, Mekhi Becton, and we also heard from Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts. And I'm not going to spend too much time talking about Nick Sirianni. He never really says too much of any substance. He kind of rambles a little bit. But I want to, dive into what Jalen Hurts had to say, Cooper DeJean, Quinyon Mitchell, Mekhi Becton. I want to get into all of that, and then we're going to have some fun, and we're going to just, chat it up, and we're going to check the temperature of the room, check the temperature of the building, and we're going to try to, draw out some context clues and try to flush out the narrative, the offseason narrative, before training camp gets here later down the line. So, yeah, man, I'll start with Jalen Hurts, obviously, the headliner. Jalen Hurts is, you guys, the most annoying thing about puppies, and I know it's a sidebar, but they just keep getting into things. Give me 1 second. This guy likes chewing on stuff he shouldn't chew on. Give me 1 second, you guys. All right. There we go. So, like I said, we're going to get into the Jalen Hurts topic. Jalen Hurts spoke to the media, and he said quite a few things that stood out to me, but he says something that kind of made me scratch my head a little bit, and I don't know if I feel positively about it or negatively about it, and I'm depending on you guys to try to help guide me along this, right? So he spoke again. He said a lot. He spoke about how he's focusing on trying to build rapport, with guys like Paris Campbell, John Ross. He wants to continue to try to enter every season with fresh eyes, with a fresh mentality, and just always stay humble and modest, and always focusing on keeping relationships maintained. That's how you get better as a team, right? That's how the chemistry continues to improve, by making sure you remain in contact with guys in the offseason, letting guys know you're here, letting guys know you're there for them. Just overall being available to your team. He spoke a lot about, how he's trying to continue to get better as a leader, and how he's continuing to try to up his commitment and his level of intensity as the franchise quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles. He also spoke on Doug Nussmeier's approach and Kellen Moore's approach, their coaching styles. He was saying Kellen Moore, he has a calm, laid-back demeanor, or a calm, laid-back approach, so to speak, and he tends to think big picture. He tends to think in the macro. And Doug Nussmeier, his main focus has been trying to get Jalen Hurts as comfortable as possible and putting him in the best position to win. And he also spoke about how Vic Fangio at times talks a little trash to him, but Hurts always has to remind him that, hey, my man, with all due respect, I love you, and you on the Philadelphia Eagles now, but I'm 2-0 against you, okay? Just to make it clear, I'm 2-0 against you. But just some fairly trash talk, and I think that's the kind of stuff that keeps guys engaged, keeps guys interested in what's going on. I don't mind that at all. I don't mind that friendly trash talk. I think it's cool, and I think it'll always keep Jalen Hurts sharp. Look, at the end of the day, you're going up against Vic Fangio and that new look Eagles defense every single day. And that new Eagles defense is making a lot of plays, and they're not making it easy for Jalen Hurts. So Jalen Hurts is going to have to make sure he brings his game. He's going to have to make sure he's at the top of his game when going up against a guy like Vic Fangio. And you got young guys that's super hungry on that defensive side of the ball. We've talked about it, right? We've talked about how you got Reed Blankenship making plays, Isaiah Rodgers making plays, Kelly Ringo's making plays, Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, CJ Gardner-Johnson. All those guys are hungry, right? The young guys, the rookies. You got guys on defense, Devin White, hungry, Zach Bond, hungry. You got a bunch of guys on the defense that are really hungry to make plays, and Jalen Hurts can't take that for granted. He can't enter the situation thinking that things are going to be handed to him. And I also don't think that's his mentality at all. I think he's the kind of player that welcomes the challenge. I think he welcomes everything that comes with it. And I think Jalen Hurts is ready to up the ante. But the biggest thing that I took away from what Jalen Hurts had to say is the fact that overall, this offense, this offense, this offense overall is going to be fairly new. And the simple fact that you got a guy like Kellen Moore trying to implement his own brand of offense, and Jalen Hurts basically said 95% of this offense will be new. And that's wild to me. That's wild. And I don't know how I process that. I look at Jalen Hurts and I look at this offense, and I know it was bad last year. I know the offense was very inconsistent. The coaching was haphazard. It was terrible. I get it. But I didn't think 95%. That's a high number. That's a high number. That's a real high number. 95% is insane. That basically means you're flushing the entire offense from last year. And obviously the film didn't do them any favors. And I felt like Jalen Hurts had to play above the rim. I felt like Jalen Hurts had to really had to carry the team in certain respects because the offense was so lackluster. The running game was inconsistent, and he had to find a way to make plays. It was just insane. It was insane. So I give credit to Jalen Hurts for trying to pick up everything that's new. I give credit for Jalen Hurts for trying to pick up new stuff in his offense. Kellen Moore is definitely not going to make it easy. I don't expect Doug Nussmeier to make it easy as well. Also, I apologize, you guys, if things are a little choppy right now. I got this puppy, man, and he can be a little bit of a headache, and I try to keep my eye on him sometimes. But I appreciate you guys for always staying locked in on the content and being patient with the way things are going here for me. Got a lot going on in my personal life. So overall, I like to make you guys my focus at the end of the day when we're live. So Tyler Braswell says, what kind of dog is it, or what kind of puppy is it? Oh, I have a mini dachshund. A mini dachshund. Benny Boone 68 says that 5% that's not new belongs to Nick. I mean, who else do it belong to, right? I mean, at the end of the day, last year that was Nick's offense, and it didn't really look smooth. It looked herky jerky. It looked like everything was a struggle. It looked bland. There was no creativity. There was no motion. There was just nothing that challenged opposing defenses. So I just think it's an indictment, really. I think it's an indictment on the previous offensive coaching staff of how lackluster the offense was. That's what I think. I think it's an indictment on everybody that was doing their job coaching wise on that side of the ball. So it begs the question, damn, how did Nick keep his job? And I'm not even trying to be controversial. It's just a fair question. If you flushed 95% of the offense, damn, what good is Nick Sirianni to an extent? You know, you hired him under the impression that he was this sharp offensive mind, but so far, if Shane Steichen ain't in the building, he hasn't really shown to be a top-notch offensive mind. And then you bring Kellen Moore in, we still got to wait and see how that pans out on the field. But overall, I think 95% of the offense being new is a clear indictment on the way the offensive coaching staff was built last year. And I think it's an indictment on Nick Sirianni. And I promise you, I'm not trying to be controversial. I'm just acknowledging what was said, and I'm trying to put the pieces together. But that's just my perspective. That's just my perspective. Chin says, because Kellen will get offered a job. Hey, man. I think Kellen Moore is definitely going to be a head coach at some point. We'll see how that happens or how that goes. Benny Boom says, what's your take on Nick's press conference? I never really had much to take away from Nick Sirianni's press conferences. I mean, he rambles a lot. And I started watching it, and I kind of was like, okay, I mean, he's going to do his tap dance like he always does. So I'm not really, I watched this previous press conference. One press conference a week for me is good for Nick Sirianni. I didn't need to hear from Nick Sirianni twice this week. I would have loved to have heard from Kellen Moore, maybe, but I already listened to Nick Sirianni this week. Didn't need to hear from him again. That's just my opinion. So yeah. Also, remember Devontae Smith and AJ Brown, they were admitting that this offense is going to be more creative. You're going to see more movement. You're going to see guys. You're going to see guys being used in multiple different ways. It's not going to be as bland as it was last year. Reggie Hill says, "Keep the shove, replace Hurts with Barkley, and dump the rest." Oh man, Prince Swayze, come on, man, that song is terrible. Please, Drake is going outside. Nonetheless, all right. Cooper DeJean also spoke as well to the media. Cooper DeJean, he spoke about how he's been embracing his versatility. Cooper DeJean is a very unique player. He has amazing physical traits, has a ton of athleticism to work with. In college at Iowa, he played outside corner, nickel. He played safety at times. He was a defensive weapon, and he was utilized all across the field, right? And entering the NFL, he's been embracing his versatility and all the responsibilities that the Eagles have kind of thrown at him, because overall, Fangio has been throwing a lot at this defense. He's been throwing a lot at them, trying to see what they could grasp, what can they handle, what can't they handle, and he's just been trying to. He's just been trying to overall showcase all his abilities, right? But although the versatility he has is a gift, right? I mentioned this to you guys a while back. It's going to be so important for Cooper DeJean to be a master of one thing first. Him picking up all these different responsibilities, it's cool at first because you want to test the limitations, right? You want to see what he can retain and what he can't, but you don't want to break the player. You don't want to ruin the player. You want to get the player as confident as possible in one particular thing, and then he'll be able to pick up more things. But he has to build that confidence first and foremost. That's the biggest thing. He has to pick up that confidence at the end of the day. You know, Christian Parker, the DB coach, he spoke on it as well. Remember, Christian Parker said, although he's a versatile player, we don't want to overwhelm him. And we want to take it day by day. Hey, today we're going to focus on press. Okay. This next day we're going to focus on off ball. Okay. This day we're going to focus on this. We're going to focus on that. I think that's smart thinking. And you don't want to overwhelm these young guys too soon. And then moving on to what Quinyon Mitchell had to say, right? Quinyon Mitchell, he's his interview was interesting because he joked about the AJ Brown situation, and I mean not even really a situation, more so just how he was talking trash to AJ Brown, and how he was joking about it being a trash route. He was saying, well, it was actually a good route, but I'm just getting more comfortable, talking about a little trash, just trying to showcase that, my skill set and everything. And overall, he looks at the opportunity of going up against a guy like AJ Brown. He looks at it as an opportunity to continue to hone his craft. Like, he's grateful for guys like Devontae Smith. He's grateful for guys like AJ Brown being on his roster. Those kind of guys being on this roster puts guys like Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean in the best position possible. And then they asked him about Vic Fangio's scheme, and also Vic Fangio as a person. And he mentioned how Fangio, he's a great dude. It's a great scheme. Everybody's buying in. And ultimately, everyone's having fun competing. And I think that's important, right? First of all, this team didn't look like they were having fun last year. And when you bring in a guy like Vic Fangio, a guy who's old school, a guy who's going to give you a lot to work with, he's going to throw a lot at you, and guys are competing, that has to be a fun environment, especially when you love the game of football and you're being challenged every day, not just physically, but mentally. I think that goes a long way, especially with the young guys. You bring in a guy like Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, you bring in two young DBs, two young corners. There's a lot of pressure on those guys. And I say that because the expectations are high. Cooper DeJean was highly touted as being a top 5 cornerback prospect in this past draft. Quinyon Mitchell was universally known as the number 1 cornerback in the draft. Some people probably had Terrion Arnold, but in most circles and most conversations that I heard, Quinyon Mitchell was the number 1 corner in the draft. So when you come in with that kind of resume and with the physical gifts that they both have, there's going to be a lot of people hoping that you hit the ground running. And there's going to be some growing pains. I mentioned this yesterday. There's going to be growing pains, and we can't jump off the cliff if one of these guys give up a pass or whatever. They have to get used to the speed of the game. They're going to have to get used to the level of competition they're going up against on a daily basis or on a weekly basis. But again, that's why you have guys like AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. They're going to prepare you for every single guy you're going to see. That's why I love the pairing of AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, because they both play the position very differently. They both win in 2 different ways. AJ Brown is a very physical guy. He has speed. He can beat you deep, but also that physicality with that size, it makes it hard for DBs to kind of, get their hand around him, and he just continues to box out and post up DBs, and they just can't stop him. And he's a route running god. AJ Brown is just so polished, right? And then Devontae Smith, the Louisiana technician, you know what I mean? Like the dude is just so fundamentally sound. Footwork is tremendous. They don't call him the Slim Reaper for nothing. The dude is so smooth. Skinny Batman has so many tools in the tool belt. Hands like glue. More physical than what people give him credit for. Faster than what people give him credit for. And like I said, just being a supreme technician at his craft makes everything look the same. So silky smooth in and out of his breaks. They both play the position very differently, and it gives Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean two different types of receivers to prepare for. And I think that goes a long way, especially when you're developing these guys. And one thing I noticed, right, during that press conference, I was just looking at Quinyon Mitchell, and I'm like, yo, that dude kind of brolic. You know what I mean? That's a big dude. Like, I'm looking at the shoulders, and I'm like, yo, like he that frame is a lot bigger than what I thought it was. And maybe he's just been putting on, some muscle in the weight room. That NFL training program will get you right. But Mitchell's a big dude, and I fully anticipate him having or playing the position with a lot of physicality. And I think it's going to be really. I think he's going to give a lot of wide receivers a tough go of it. On top of that, Mekhi Becton spoke, right? Mekhi Becton spoke to the media for the first time, and he basically said he's been having a lot of fun cross training at guard. He mentioned how he went from left tackle to right tackle, and now right tackle to now to right guard, and he feels like the transition from left tackle to right tackle is probably more difficult than right tackle to right guard. It makes sense because if you go from left tackle to right tackle, you have to flip everything. You have to flip everything that you've done on that left side to your right side. You essentially you have to be ambidextrous, and that can be a little bit of a mind fuck for a lot of guys, right? So I think I give Mekhi Becton a lot of credit for being open to cross training at guard and just rolling with the punches. He said he had nothing but glowing things to say about Jeff Stoutland and how Jeff Stoutland, was getting him right. Jeff Stoutland was one of the reasons he came to this team, along with the fact that the roster is loaded, and it gives him an amazing opportunity to reset or hit the reset button on his career. He credits Jeff Stoutland for making his transition smooth, and he's embraced the challenge. And you've heard nothing but great things about Mekhi Becton from Lane Johnson, from Jordan Mailata, and you got to respect it. You got to respect it. Mekhi Becton is going to play an important role on this team because he's arguably the most talented offensive lineman outside of the starting five, right? You get beyond Mailata, Lane Johnson, Dickerson, Cam Jurgens, and Steen. One can argue Mekhi Becton may be more talented than Tyler Steen. But Tyler Steen obviously is more of a natural fit there, right guard. So they want him to be the starter. Also, Mekhi Becton, with the injury history, you want to try to keep him as healthy as possible. You want to make sure he is as healthy as possible, and you kind of want that body to just heal up. These past couple years for him in New York with the Jets has been real turbulent as far as his health. And being a former first round pick, the expectations for him are still high. I mean, he's only 25 years old, and his tenure with the Eagles could be major for him in the long run. And then you coach under Jeff Stoutland, that'll get you a job right there all along. Jeff Stoutland has helped a lot of guys get paid. Isaac Seumalo, what's my other guy's name? Jack Driscoll, Nate Herbig, Sua Opeta. I think it's Sua Opeta, right? There's been a ton of guys that have come out of that Jeff Stoutland farm system, and they've been guys that have gotten right. He's got those guys right physically, mentally, and he's also got them paid. So yeah, Mekhi Becton, I like that they're cross training him at right guard and right tackle. God forbid Tyler Steen or Lane Johnson goes down. Hopefully you don't miss a beat because you have a guy that talented with those kind of athletic gifts and that size. But I do think it's a little awkward though, him being a right guard. He's a tall guy, long arms. He is definitely built for the tackle spot. But he's been real open towards the transition. Although it's unconventional, he believes that his size and his length give him the benefit of the doubt at guard. He looks at it like, when you're at tackle, most of the time you have some time before the edge rusher gets to you, right? They got to pick up speed. But when you're at that guard spot, the action is instant. The action hits you right in the face, and you got to be real quick with your hands. You got to be real quick with your reaction time. And he's having fun doing it. He's looking forward to it, and he believes that because of the long arms, that can kind of give him an advantage over DTs that are really used to going up against more stout offensive linemen. S. Blunt with the $4.99 donation. Thank you, OG. I appreciate it. He says, people complaining about Hurts need to understand it's a new offense versus competing dogs in the secondary. They are hungry. Yeah, absolutely, man. It's not something that you can just take lightly. It's not something that you just go in and say, oh, he should be lighting it up. This is not a video game. It's important that Jalen Hurts masters the offense first, right? I don't want him going out there just not making any mistakes. I welcome the mistakes. I welcome all the different things he's having to go up against. Like you said, as Blunt, he's not only trying to learn a new offense. And remember, he said it himself. This entire offense is damn near brand new. It's 95% new. And that's not to say they're not going to implement things that make him comfortable. I don't think that. But I think that Kellen Moore looked at the offense, and as far as the packages and the lack of motion and all that kind of stuff, I think he just looked at it and said, this thing is bland as hell. It's vanilla. And I can't do nothing with this. So I'm giving Jalen Hurts the benefit of the doubt. And again, it was only OTAs and mandatory minicamp. It's not like it's training camp or it's the preseason. Like, pump the brakes. There's nothing wrong with going through some growing pains. There's nothing wrong with going through some growing pains at all. So yeah, I'm with you, as Blunt. I'm not tripping not one bit. Not one bit. And also, like you said, he's going up against some guys that are hungry in that secondary. All those guys are battling. Every last one of them. They know they got jobs on the line, money's on the line. Isaiah Rodgers, Kelly Ringo. You know what I mean? Cooper DeJean. Who else? Josh Jobe, Avonte Maddox, Tyler Hall. All those DBs, Sidney Brown, Reed Blankenship, CJ GJ. It's money on the line. These guys want to be on the field. And all those guys are trying to prove to Vic Fangio why they belong on the field. So, yeah, man, everybody hungry and everybody going to make their fair share of mistakes, especially this early. I'm just glad that they had the mandatory minicamp. I'm glad that, that pressure is on. And I'm glad that they understand the assignment. There's no time to bullshit here. Thank you, S. Blunt, for always donating to the channel, man. You do a good job. I really appreciate it. 757 CJ says, Tone was good, brother. I always catch the replays, but good to catch you live. Keep doing your thing. Hey, CJ, thank you so much for the love, my friend. I appreciate you for being a humble beast. Thank you for showing a lot of love, man. Really appreciate it. Reggie Hill says, luckily, other than Bradberry, all of our corners have the physical gifts to cover pretty much anyone. Just have to get them up mentally. Yeah, Reggie, definitely. That's a big point, Reggie. That's a big point, Reggie. You got everybody. You got everybody on his roster. You got everybody on his roster trying to prove something. And you got DBs on his roster who have a ton of physical gifts, a ton of physical traits that you love, the athleticism, the speed, the physicality, the lateral quickness, the footwork, the hand movement, right? You got a lot of guys. You got a lot of guys who are competing. And I can't argue. I can't argue with it. So, yeah, I think Bradberry's future is pretty much set in stone here. I don't think Bradberry is going to be on his roster when the season starts. Me personally, I'm not buying the whole notion that they're moving him to safety and they want to see how he looks there. I personally think that they're trying to up his value. I don't think they're even remotely serious about going into the season with him at safety. You got CJ GJ right there. You got Reed Blankenship, who you just extended. Sidney Brown, a young player you try and get on the field. You drafted Cooper DeJean, a guy who's versatile, that can play safety. You want to get these young guys on the field as well. You want to start developing them. You got Avonte Maddox, who you've made it very clear, and he's even admitted it, that he's being cross-trained as safety, even though he already has experience playing safety. He made that very known when he spoke about how he knows where guys are supposed to be. He knows who he's supposed to be communicating with, what exactly he's supposed to be communicating. I just don't see a scenario where James Bradberry can jump Reed Blankenship or Avonte Maddox for a safety spot. I just don't see that scenario. Or even Sidney Brown. Those guys have played that position before. I just don't see it. So I think all they're trying to do really is up his value. He's clearly been a hard player to trade. They can cut him, obviously, and they wouldn't lose much money. I think they would take on a $4 million dead cap hit. But if you can avoid taking the dead cap hit, and you trade him, why not do it, right? So I think that's the situation that the Philadelphia Eagles are in when it comes to James Bradberry. But I don't think James Bradberry will be on this roster when the season starts. That's just my humble opinion. Reggie also says, I believe Becton will be our future right tackle. You know, it's funny. I talked about that, right? I talked about how, if Mekhi Becton can continue to stay healthy, if he continues to study Lane Johnson and, Jeff Stoutland keeps that guy on his P's and Q's, which I fully expect. Maybe Mekhi Becton can find a long-term home here and he can pick up where Lane Johnson left off. Again, I'm not saying Lane Johnson's going to retire after this year or whatever, but let's be honest, Lane Johnson probably has 2 years left at the most. If we're just thinking about it from the perspective of, he has dealt with his own fair share of injuries in the past. Last year he had a very healthy season, but you never know when you get to that age. You want to make sure that everything is taken care of physically, nutrition wise. And I think Lane Johnson is going to have a healthy season, but I also just think it's one of those situations where he may have maybe 2 years left at the most, because these guys is deeper than just playing the game on Sunday, right? These guys gotta go into these seasons mentally prepared. They got to go through the training camps. They got to go through all that stuff. So that's pretty much what that's going to be. That's pretty much what that's going to be. Hold on one second, you guys. So yeah, there we go. That's how I feel about Mekhi Becton. Here we are. Let's see. JJ says Trotter Jr. has been quiet. Yeah, we haven't heard anything about Jeremiah Trotter Jr. But we got to keep in mind he was a 5th round pick, right? Jeremiah Trotter Jr. was a 5th round pick, if I'm not mistaken. I want to make sure I got that right. I don't think we're going to hear much about him right now. Let's see here. Rookie. Yeah, I think he was a 5th round pick. Yeah, he was a 5th round pick. So only so much you can really expect. Only so much you can really expect from that. But at the same time, I mean, that linebacker room is going to be crowded. We'll see if he's on the active roster come the regular season. I think he should be, though. He has the legacy on his side. They're probably going to use him on a lot of special team situations. That's probably going to be his situation. But here's the thing, though. We haven't heard any bad things either. Right, JJ? We haven't heard any bad things about him. So that's a good thing, too. We haven't heard any bad things. Haven't heard rave reviews, but we also haven't heard any bad things either. And I think that's something that we got to also take into account. It's funny. What's up, Cody? Hope all is well. It's also funny, man. CJ Gardner-Johnson, he took to Twitter earlier, and I don't know what happened. On the field or in the building or whatever. But I love GJ's attitude. He said something that was pretty interesting, and I want to show you guys. He basically said, "I ain't come back to be liked," meaning he didn't come back to Philadelphia to be liked. He came back to set the tone and win. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love the fact that CJGJ is setting the tone. He's making it very clear that, look, I'm not here just to play dress up with y'all. I'm not here just to be y'all friend. I'm here to win football games. I'm here to put that pressure on. I'm not mad at this perspective at all. I'm not mad at this energy or the way he's speaking at all. You let everybody know what time it is. And also, we got to think about this too, right? You know, you lost some key leaders in that team, right? You lost Fletcher Cox, you lost Jason Kelsey. You know, we haven't had a legit leader at safety since Malcolm Jenkins. So and Ronnie McLeod, you got to give credit where credit is due when it comes to CJ Gardner-Johnson trying to set the tone. I'm not mad at it. Dank says some people had an issue with him trash talking Cooper. Hey, listen, you had to pick, you fucking catch it. I ain't mad at it not one bit. Even Cooper DeJean said, "Hey, I think I owe him one." You know what I'm saying? Like, if Cooper DeJean ain't mad, I ain't mad. Why we whining? Are we trying to win football games or not? Do we want these guys prepared or not? Do we want these guys making plays or not? CJ Gardner-Johnson understands the assignment. CJ Gardner-Johnson was on the doorstep of 2 Super Bowls. He made it to a Super Bowl with the Philadelphia Eagles, lost obviously, and he made it to the NFC Championship. He made it to the NFC Championship with the Lions. He has tasted a ton of success these past couple seasons, even through the injuries, right? He's came close to a large amount of success over the past couple years of his career. So going through those things, also going through the injuries he's had, he's not taking this game for granted. He knows he has to leave it all out there. So he's not going. So he's not going to settle for lackluster effort, or he's not going to settle for guys almost making the play. No, those are the kind of plays you got to make in game, because there's going to be moments where your offense needs you to flip the field. So if that ball touch your hands, you better fucking catch it. So I'm rolling with the energy. I'm rolling with the swagger. I'm cool with that. I'm cool with it from beginning to end. I don't want nobody talking soft. I want everybody uncomfortable. I want everybody understanding that it's flames under that ass. The kitchen is hot. If you can't handle it, pack your bags, go home. So I'm cool with this. Prayer Man was good. He says, I agree. If you have to pick, catch it. Yeah, man, you got to catch it. It's as simple as that. You got to catch it. You got to catch it. William Garber says, it's good to see Fletch and Kelsey still hanging out with the team. Yeah, man. I mean, those guys are for lifers. You know, they spent their whole career with the Philadelphia Eagles. Those guys are lifers, man. I wouldn't be surprised if those guys, don't get into coaching or some sort of role on the Philadelphia Eagles. You never know. Brandon Graham even said he's going to have a role once he retires. That's his plan. So I wouldn't be surprised. Man. I like this though. So you're right, William. It is good to see. Dank says some people had an issue with him trash talking Cooper. Yeah, man. Man, fuck them. They soft, man. Joe Johnson says the linebacker coach did say something about Jeremiah Trotter. Oh, well, I mean, I didn't hear it. All right. So yeah, man. This offseason has been really interesting. It's going to be a dry spell. Obviously, we're not going to hear much from now until training camp. This is just the unfortunate, sad reality. I was on Twitter, and I was watching a clip from Chris Long's podcast, and he was talking to Josh Jacobs regarding the Brazil game. Josh Jacobs, he plays for the Packers now. So they were talking about the Brazil game, and they were saying how the players have been recommended by the staff to not wear any sort of green because of, I don't know, some sort of gang activity or whatever it may be. So who knows? But I thought that was funny. I thought that was pretty funny. And also, Quinyon Mitchell finally signed his rookie deal, which is great to see. I think Quinyon Mitchell is going to be a great corner for the Philadelphia Eagles. I think he has the skill set and the talent to maybe to maybe be a future Pro Bowler or maybe All Pro. You never really know. You never know. Come here. You never really know. You annoying me, dog. This little son of a gun just gets in the way. All right. So let's see here. All right, but yeah, Quinyon Mitchell finally signed his deal. I'm glad he got that out the way. Let's see what else is going on. So it says here, the Eagles announced some changes to their football operations and scouting and sports medicine and performance departments. They included a new title for Dom DeSandro, who is now senior advisor to the general manager, chief security officer, and game day coaching operations. You know, Big Dom had some had an eventful season last year. Had an eventful season last year, and he he ended up on the wrong side of the NFL law. But you know, oh man, this is crazy. Yeah, so regardless though, Big Dom is always gonna he's always good with us no matter what. No matter what. All right, let's see here. But yeah, you know, just to hit a quick reset for anybody that just walked in, just do a quick reset. You know, Jalen Hurts had a press conference and he spoke about how 95% of this offense is damn near brand new. That's going to be insane to even watch, right? And I think that's a big indictment. I think it's a big indictment on Nick Sirianni. I think that's a huge indictment on Nick Sirianni that the offense was that bland, the offense was that bad that Kellen Moore had to come in and change the whole thing and flip it on its head. But Jalen Hurts has been welcome into it. A lot of people have been killing Jalen Hurts about going through some of the growing pains he's had throughout the regular season. I'm sorry, throughout the off season and the OTAs and mandatory minicamp. A lot of people have been really, really nitpicking with the picks he's made and how he's been a little off or whatever. But me personally, I ain't really been tripping about it. I think Jalen Hurts is going to be a-okay. Kellen Moore is one of those football minds where he's well respected. He's well respected. For being a young guy, and he even remember he actually interviewed for the Eagles head coaching job at one point. When Nick Sirianni interviewed as well, and they ended up going with Nick Sirianni, which is funny how life comes full circle. You interview with a guy and then you end up working for him. But who knows how long that'll be? Nick Sirianni, a lot of people spoke about his press conference today, and Nick Sirianni's kind of skating on thin ice, if you ask me. I think Nick Sirianni's skating on thin ice, and this team needs to be good this year. It's just that simple. This team has to be good, and if they're not, we're going to have some big issues. But I don't think that's going to be the case. I think the Philadelphia Eagles are going to have a winning season. I think the Philadelphia Eagles are going to win between 11 and 13 games. I think the Philadelphia Eagles max out at 13-4. And I think at worst, they go 11-6. I think that's the worst. Yeah, at worst. So, yeah, so just to go over my schedule prediction, right? In week 1, I got the Philadelphia Eagles beating Green Bay. I got the Eagles beating the Atlanta Falcons. I got the Eagles beating the Saints and beating Tampa Bay, and then they go on their bye week in week 5, and then I got them coming off the bye, beating Cleveland and beating the Giants. I got the Philadelphia Eagles starting the season 6-0, entering week 8. And then once they get to week 8, they play Cincinnati. I think that's when they take their first L. I think they lose to Cincinnati, and then the Eagles go 6-1, and then I think they bounce back against Jacksonville, and they end up 7-1 in week 9. And then I think they lose to Dallas on the road, dropping them to 7-2. I think they double up and beat Washington and the Rams in back-to-back games, respectively, and improves their record from 7-2 to 9-2. I think they lose to the Baltimore Ravens, dropping their record to 9-3. I think they double up again, beating Carolina and Pittsburgh, improving their record from 9-3 to 11-3. And I think they lose that Washington game, dropping them to 11-4. And I think they double up again and finish the season 13-4, beating the Dallas Cowboys at home and beating the New York Giants as well. So I think that's pretty much my prediction, right? I got the Philadelphia Eagles finishing the season 13-4, and at worst, I got them going 11-6. I think there's no way this team doesn't win double-digit games. This team has to win. This team is going to win 11 games or more, at minimum. And I think they're and I think if I'm rolling the dice, I think they'll win 13 games. If I had to put money on it, are the Eagles going to go 11-6 or 13-4? I think the Eagles will go 13-4, and I don't think that's impossible, especially with this new schedule. Ray Lester says, "Didn't we start 6-0 last year, Tone?" Yeah, but what does that have to do with anything? So yeah, I got the Philadelphia Eagles ending the season 13-4. As Blunt says, I think we will be very good this year and we'll win the NFC East. Yeah, I agree. I think we're going to win the NFC East. I don't think the Cowboys have done enough to improve their roster, and I feel like there's a lot of internal anguish going on. You know, especially between CeeDee Lamb in the front office, Dak Prescott in the front office, Micah Parsons, and all that kind of stuff. It just seems like there's some narratives going on. You know, there's some dysfunction. And they haven't made any moves in free agency, really. They had an okay draft, a solid draft, wasn't that bad. But you got CeeDee looking to get paid, especially after guys like Jalen Waddle got that kind of money. Justin Jefferson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, right? CeeDee Lamb is probably looking at himself like, I'm better than Amon-Ra St. Brown. I'm not saying he is or he isn't, but I can't be mad at CeeDee Lamb believing he's better than Amon-Ra St. Brown. I can't get mad at him for thinking that. I can't get mad at him. I can't get mad at CeeDee Lamb for believing that he's better than Jalen Waddle. I can't get mad at that either. Jalen Waddle's making $28 million a year. Amon-Ra St. Brown, I think, is making 30 or 31. So CeeDee Lamb is CeeDee Lamb is in that category. You gotta get credit where credit is due, man. I mean, again, if Jalen Waddle is making $28 million and Amon-Ra St. Brown's making 31, can you get mad at CeeDee Lamb for wanting something in between that, or maybe more? I can't get mad at that. Ray Lester says, "I'm not a skeptic. I'm just stating facts." Got you. Understood. I wasn't sure what your angle was, Ray. It was a little shaky. So I just wasn't sure what your angle was. Also, we got 81 people tuned in on the YouTube side. We got 57 people tuned in from X. Please make sure you guys smash that like button on the way in. We only got 46 likes, and we got over 70. We got 77 people tuned in, over 70 people tuned in on YouTube. Please make sure you guys hit that like button. It really helps the content grow. It's currency. It's the lifeblood of the YouTube space. And the more you guys hit that like button, the more successful the show will be, and the more people will find it. The more subscribers we have, the more viewers we have, the more lit that live chat would be. And you guys will have more Eagles fans to talk trash to, more Cowboys fans to talk trash to, more Giants, more Commanders fans to talk trash to. So make sure you guys continue to hit that like button on the way in. Make sure you hit it on the way out. It takes no effort, you guys. I remember early on when I was watching YouTube, when I was younger and not really keen to how YouTube works, I never really hit the like button because I didn't think it meant anything. And I didn't really subscribe to people. I just watched videos on YouTube and let my algorithm do its own thing. But now I understand the power of the subscribe. I understand the power of the like button and the comments. All that engagement helps YouTube push your content deeper into the algorithms, and it helps more people find your content. And I definitely want to be on the right side of history with YouTube. So I really appreciate you guys for always hitting that like button and staying engaged. It's magic, man. Utilize your power as the consumer. Every team sucks but the Eagles. I love that name. He says, "What's good, Tone? Sorry I'm late." No, you all good, my man. You all good. Ray Lester says this schedule is weaker. I expect more. It's never that simple. But I understand your perspective, though. I understand your perspective. I think they should win 13 games. I think that's reasonable. I think that's very reasonable. And I think 13 games is going to be enough to win the NFC East and maybe the NFC. You never know. But Detroit, they're there. Cowboys are there. Green Bay's there. The Rams are trying to get better. You gotta, it's not going to be the easiest route, but I think the Philadelphia Eagles have a favorable schedule, whereas though they should be able to win the NFC East definitely with 13 wins. And maybe if they get 14, they win the NFC. I think that 14-win season puts them right in the driver's seat to win the NFC. But it all depends on what other teams do as well. Nick N says, did you hear Jalen and Nick's press conferences? Yes. We spoke about those earlier. We definitely spoke about Jalen Hurts' press conference. We can double back, though. Nick, I appreciate you for being here. The biggest thing that I took away from Jalen Hurts' press conference is the fact that he acknowledged that this offense is 95% new, which is crazy to even think about, right? Like, we talk about how Jalen Hurts is making mistakes in OTAs, but the reality is the offense is 95% new. That's crazy. I thought Kellen Moore would come in and, maybe it'd be 60-40. Oh, yeah, I forgot about the 49ers. I don't know how I forgot about them, but yeah, the 49ers as well. But yeah, I thought Kellen Moore would, add in his stuff and keep, maybe 40% of the old offense. He came in and said, nah, 95% of everything is new. But we don't know in what context, right? That could mean, with the motion. That doesn't necessarily have to mean playbook related, right? It could be, with motions. It could be with hot routes and alerts, and it could, it could that can mean anything. So I don't want to jump off the deep end with that, right? But I still believe that if Kellen Moore is coming in and 95% of the Eagles' new offense is new, that means Nick Sirianni did not leave much to be desired. Michael Kerwin says for Hurts to play better and the D to play better. Yeah, gotcha. As Blunt says, what do you think we need to do to close the gap on the 49ers? That's interesting, right? Last season I feel like was obviously last season the 49ers did what they did to us, and that was pretty crazy to experience. But I think at this point, the 49ers, their defense is clearly more proven. But they're bringing in another DC after firing Steve Wilkes, which I feel like is an overreaction. They may lose Brandon Ayuk. They obviously just extended Christian McCaffrey. Can Brock Purdy continue to stack on his success? If I'm being honest, I really don't think the gap is that wide. I don't think the gap is that wide. I understand they beat the brakes off us last year. I get that. But I think so much was wrong with that team well before that game. I think everything just came to a head. I think San Fran just took advantage of a wounded animal. That's my honest perspective. I think the 49ers took advantage of a wounded animal, and the Eagles did the same thing against the 49ers in the NFC Championship game. It's just been very, very messy overall. But I don't think the gap is that wide. I really don't. I think the NFC is maybe a 4-team race, maybe a 4 or 5-team race. I think you get the 49ers up there, the Lions, the Eagles, the Cowboys, and the Packers. I think it's a 5-team race in the NFC. And if I'm really trying to limit it, I think it's a 5-team race between. I'm sorry, I think it's a 4-team race. Really, if I want to, really make it tight. Michael Kerwin says Purdy was the better quarterback last year. I never said he wasn't, so I don't know, what's your angle with that. But yeah, I think it's a If I'm really trying to divvy it up and I'm trying to limit it, it's going to be 49ers, Lions, Eagles. I think one of those three teams will represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. Niners, Lions, Eagles. That's what I honestly think. I think it's going to be one of those three teams to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. And I don't think that's a far cry. I don't think that's blasphemous to say, unless maybe you're a Cowboys fan. I think the Cowboys are going to be a wild card team at best. We'll see. Denk says terminology is probably new as well. Yeah, right. That's the thing. The terminology is probably very, very new. So again, we don't necessarily know what that 95% consists of. RJ Turpin says can't forget Green Bay. Well, I said Green Bay if I was making it a 5-team race, but if I'm making it a 3-team race, I'm taking the Niners, Lions, and Eagles. But if I'm making it a 5-team race, which it more likely is, Niners, Eagles, Lions, Packers, Cowboys. That's it. I'm not sleeping on Green Bay. I said if it's a 5-team race, you got to include Green Bay in there. You got to. You got to include them in there. I'm not sleeping on Green Bay at all. I just said it. You're not listening. Eric Stewart says, I see on paper we have a better overall team than the 49ers. I would have to look at the 49ers roster to make sure of that. I just got to make sure of that. I'm not comfortable definitively saying that. I know obviously on offense, the Eagles are loaded, but 49ers got a pretty good offense too. They still got Debo and Ayuk on that roster. George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey, Brock Purdy is coming into his own. He's played very well these past couple seasons. Got to give credit where credit is due. So I don't know if I can definitively say that without looking at their roster from top to bottom. Lord Vaughn says, do you think Devin White and Dean is enough at linebacker? Well, as of right now, Dean can't even get ahead of Zach Bond. So that's a problem he has first. I hope Devin White is good enough. I hope he still has something left in the tank. I hope Zach Bond is a player that can be relied on. I'm not asking Zach Bond out there to be I'm not asking Zach Bond to be a game changer. I want him to stabilize the position in some shape, way, or form. I don't need Zach Bond I don't need Zach Bond playing at a Pro Bowl level. If he does, that's great, but I doubt that's going to happen. I don't need him doing that. I don't even need Devin White playing at a Pro Bowl level. Can they stabilize the position? Can they be trusted to do their jobs? Can they be in the right place at the right time? That's all I'm asking. That's all I'm asking. Can you tackle well? Can you defend the gaps in the run game? Can you tackle? Can you cover? That's kind of my mindset, Laura Vaughn. I don't need those guys coming in being world beaters. I just want them to I want them to give us and look, this is me just trying to be humble and be realistic. All I need is a B effort. Well, no, I need an A+ effort. I need a B level outcome. B+, or even B-. If Devin White and Zach Bond gave us B- or B level seasons, I'd be cool with that. I'd be cool with it. And again, maybe that's me just being humble. Laura Vaughn says, I believe in Devin, but how we need to go shopping. And then Dank follows up saying, we say he needs to go shopping, but don't know what's in the store. Well, let's look at it. Let's see who's a free agent right now. And honestly, at this season, if you're looking for a free agent linebacker, good fucking luck. This is not a good time to be looking for a linebacker. Not a good time at all. Let's see here. All right, let's see if we can find this. All right. 2024 free agents available. Inside linebacker. Unrestricted. All right, let's see what we got here. So, wow, there's not that many inside linebackers available. You still got Zach Cunningham and Shaquille Leonard available. You got Quan Alexander, Gerard Davis, Blake Martinez, Dylan Cole, Calvin Munson, Tyler Matakovich. You know, you gotta. It's not really much here, man. It's not really much here. And besides, you know, I just have a hard time believing the Philadelphia Eagles would even consider bringing back Shaquille Leonard or Zach Cunningham. I have a hard time believing that. I'm actually surprised that Cunningham didn't get a job yet. But you never know. You never know. Could Howie Roseman make a trade as we get closer to the season? You never know. But again, back to your original question. I mean, Dean can't even get ahead of Zach Bond yet. Zach Bond has clearly been outplaying him in OTAs and mandatory minicamp. Training camp, we're going to see a lot. And preseason, we're going to see a lot. We're going to see who they roll out there. But I got a strong. I told people. A lot of people laughed at me when I said Zach Bond is going to threaten Nakobe Dean, or when I said I think Zach Bond is going to be a player to watch. A lot of people laughed at me. A lot of y'all laughed at me. And look at it. Look at you. So, Zach Bond is a player that I'm going to be watching very closely. We got about 143 people total on the live stream, 81 people on YouTube, 62 on X. Please make sure you guys hit that like button on the way in. I really appreciate that. Like I tell you guys all the time, the like button really helps the content grow, and it helps YouTube move the content forward throughout the algorithms. It helps more people find the show. So make sure you guys smash that like button. That'd be great. Dank says, I've been a Bond guy. Hey, great, man. Great. Me and you on the island, Dank. Not many people, bro. Dank, I don't know if you were in my live streams back then or earlier in the offseason. I don't know if you heard my conversations, but I was telling people that Zach Bond is a player that's going to, it's something about him I'm rocking with. I think people are going to be watching. Like you got to watch Zach Bond. I felt like he was a player that was underappreciated once he got signed. And a lot of people felt like he was just a guy. And look, he still has to prove it on the football field. But as of right now, he's ahead of Nakobe Dean, if you ask me. I think that goes without saying. Nick says, do you think the systems are really meshed together or it's all brand new? Because 95% is crazy. Yeah, that is crazy. That's why, you know, the 95% comment by Jalen Hurts, again, maybe it's not playbook related or not only playbook related. Maybe it's terminology related. Maybe it's audibles and motions and hot routes and, things like that. Alerts, maybe it's just new. I don't want to overreact to it, though. I don't want to overreact to it. But 95% is a crazy ass number. Got to be honest about that. 95% is a crazy number, But, we're going to get out of here soon, you guys. I appreciate you guys for always locking in on the content. Please make sure you guys smash that like button. Ray Lester says, I think it's philosophy and approach. Hey, that could be it too, right? That could be it too. But yeah, I appreciate you guys for locking in on the content. If you guys are just hopping in, please make sure you smash that like button. I really appreciate the love and the support. You guys are tremendous. Also, again, if you're just hopping in late, you can always double back and rewatch the live stream. I appreciate the love. You guys are awesome. Make sure you guys subscribe to the show, especially if you're new. And if you're an OG subscriber, make sure you stay locked in. I want to give a shout out to my OG S Blunt for donating to the channel. He always shows up for me, and I really appreciate him as well. Again, smash that like button. Make sure you're subscribed. I want to give a shout out to my X family, everybody on X, everybody holding it down on Twitter. I appreciate you guys. Make sure you guys hit the like button. Make sure you guys continue to retweet the show and all the things like that. It means a lot to me. So I'll leave it at that. I'm your guy, Tone DeShields II. You guys have been locked in on Chalk It Up Sports, where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got to charge it to the game.